We are ready now to listen to the words of the Holy Gospel, the good news of Jesus for us. Please stand and join me in the Gospel acclamation.
The Lord be with you. And with your spirit. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus said, "Amen, amen, I say to you, whoever does not enter a sheepfold through the gate, but climbs over elsewhere, is a thief and a robber. But whoever enters through the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens it for him, and the sheep hear his voice. As the shepherd calls his own sheep by name and leads them out, when he has driven out all his own, he walks ahead of them, and the sheep follow him, because they recognize his voice. But they will not follow a stranger. They will run away from him, because they do not recognize the voice of strangers." Although Jesus used this figure of speech, the Pharisees did not realize what he was trying to tell them. So Jesus said again, "Amen, amen, I say to you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved, and will come in and go out and find pasture. A thief comes only to steal and slaughter and destroy. I came so that they might have life and have it more abundantly." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
I am guessing that you have had the same experience that I've had. When something is important to me and I'm trying to share it with someone else, and I'm going through the details, and you get the blank look. You know the blank look? And you know they don't get it. Very frustrating. I wish you had known my mother. She was a very small woman, about 5 feet tall, 100 pounds. I took after my father. He was a big man. My mother was a very efficient, organized, get the job done German woman. She believed that you should be able to give directions once, and the other person gets it. Her children get it. So I remember even when I was younger, and she would give me the directions for some job she was giving me, and I must have been giving her the glassy look, and she would raise her hands and say, "Dummkopf," which means thick head in German. Very frustrating. You know, I've often thought that Jesus must have that same kind of frustration, because week after week, we listen to the Holy Gospel. Now, this is the book of the Gospels. Look at all of these words. Jesus tries every way that he can to tell us who he is and who he wants to be in our lives. And let's be honest, we just don't get it, do we? Because if we really got it, I mean really, really got it, our lives would be very, very different. And so, we know that Jesus uses every means at his disposal when we listen to the Holy Gospel. He uses eloquent words, wonderful sermons like the Sermon on the Mount, the Beatitudes. He uses miracles, always hoping, I am sure, in his heart, will they get it this time? Will they understand this time? Will they figure out this time who I really am? Will they ever get it? And it's a good thing, think about it, that God does not respond to not getting it the same way we do. Because when we try to explain something and people don't get it, what do? Oh, forget about it. I'll do it myself. Jesus never says that. He's always hoping that maybe the next image that he uses, the next miracle that he does, will open our eyes and help us to really see with the eyes of our hearts who Jesus is. Very frustrating experience. And so today, in this gospel reading, Jesus uses an image to show just one more thing about himself to us. And I'm sure he says to himself before he says the words, well, I'm going to try this. Maybe they'll get it this time. And he says, I'm kind of like a shepherd. And shepherds were very common in his days. I'm a gatekeeper. And I protect my sheep. I know where they are. I know where every one of them is. And if one of them gets lost, I go and find them. Who are the sheep? You and me. He's saying this to us. I'm like a shepherd, a gatekeeper. I will come and find you if you are lost. And when I find you, I'll have my arms open like this, because I will always welcome you back, no matter why you got lost or no matter how you got lost. And he says in this gospel passage, I am the gatekeeper, the shepherd. The shepherd hear my voice and they follow me. They hear my voice and follow me. I'm sure that you've also had the experience. You've been in a room and you hear someone mention your name and you know immediately who it is. And sometimes that might put a little fear in your heart when you know who it is. Sometimes it puts a great warmth in your heart. I would love, just love, to hear my mother say my name just one more time. Just one more time. Every weekend when we come and listen to the Holy Gospel, we should have that kind of longing. We are longing to hear the voice of our shepherd, our gatekeeper. And Jesus again is hoping, maybe this time they'll get it. Maybe this time they'll hear me. He uses all different kinds of images. And in this particular gospel, he uses one of what is called the I am passages. You're familiar with all of those. I am the good shepherd. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the way. If you are lost, follow me along this path. I will bring you home. I will take care of you. I am the bread of life. Bread is what gives us sustenance for our lives, for our physical life, and as Catholics in the Eucharist gives us life for our souls. I am the light of the world. If you find yourself in darkness, I will light it up for you. You see, for each one of these I am passages, Jesus is trying to tell us just a little bit more of who he is, and again, who he wants to be in our lives. You may be interested in knowing that in the time of Jesus, shepherds knew each one of their sheep by name. And that told the tale of whether or not they were a good shepherd. And he called to each of them when it was time to go home at night. And they would all go into a pen, usually made out of stone. And there was a gate for the sheep to go in. And the shepherd, when all the sheep were in, he would lay across the gate the opening to the pen so that no person and no animal could get into the pen to harm those sheep without bypassing him. So what is Jesus saying to us when he says, I am the gate? What he is saying is, I will lay down my life for you. I will do whatever I need to do to keep you safe from harm, anything at all. And so in this passage, Jesus tells us that he is compassionate and kind and absolutely caring for each of his sheep, for each of you and for me. What else could we ask for in a leader, in a shepherd? Jesus is the gate. If you come through the gate, you will have everlasting life. Whoa, isn't that great? I am the great. And so what does that mean for us? It means simply this. Those of us who call ourselves Christian, we do it for a reason, because we are choosing to model our lives after the life of Christ. And so doesn't it make sense to you? Isn't it logical to say, if Jesus is telling us that he is caring and kind and compassionate, then the more kind and compassionate we are, the more we are becoming like Jesus the Christ. The better Christian we are. And so we listen for his voice every weekend in the gospel. And we know that the whole message of the gospel is to serve one another, to be caring and kind and compassionate to one another. Because after all, we are Christians, yes? And I've said this to you many times. When it is our time to go home, as we are celebrating for the people we're remembering today, when we arrive at the gate, you can be sure that none of the people who have their pictures on this board arrived at the gates and had questions like this asked of them. Well, what are your degrees? Who cares? Well, what kind of house did you have? What kind of money did you have in the bank? Absolutely not. The questions are going to be, did you listen to these words? Were you kind and compassionate? Were you? Did you reach out to your brothers and sisters? Did you? Did you use the gifts I gave you to help those in need? Did you? And of course, there is no sense in trying to fudge the truth, because God knows all. He knows already the answer to the question, did you? And as I've warned you before, please don't say to God when you get to the gates, well, you know, I went to church at St. Michael's in North Greenbush. They never offered me any opportunities to help the poor, because Jesus is going to say, what? Are you kidding me? You know that here at St. Michael's, we take the gospel message seriously to help our brothers and sisters. Our social justice ministry offers you a multitude of opportunities to help those in need. And we just wait for you to raise your hand and say, I can do that. I can bring some books for the kids at Carroll Hill School. I can do that. I can bring some baby items for community maternity services. I can do that. I can bring a couple of peppers for the Damien dinner. And once again, we don't expect everybody to respond to everything, but we hope everybody responds to something, because, once again, I remind you, that's the question you're going to be asked when you meet God face to face. Now, we concentrate most of our efforts, as you know, for the needy in Troy and Rensselaer. But we are well aware of the fact that there are so many needs beyond those borders. And so once a year, it is my responsibility as the leader of this parish to speak to you about the Bishop's Appeal. And it's probably a poor name to call it the Bishop's Appeal because I think some people think we're raising funds to purchase a Mercedes for Bishop Ed or to buy him a luxury condo. It has absolutely nothing to do with that. What we try to do in the Bishop's Appeal is to raise funds so that the diocese can operate its offices, which support all the parishes on an ongoing basis. We try to raise funds so that when there is a disaster of flooding or tornadoes, they have the wherewithal, Catholic Charities does, to help those who are in need. The Bishop's Appeal funds are used to educate our young people, to take care of the elderly, to help the homeless, in essence, to respond to the Beatitudes. If you are a registered member of this parish, you should have received a letter from me this past week announcing the beginning of the Bishop's Appeal. We're kicking it off this weekend. On the back of that letter was a picture of the envelope that can be used for your donation. There are more envelopes on the baptismal font on your way out. So I'm asking you over this next week, because next week we will have Commitment Weekend, where we'll give you a little time to make out an envelope if you didn't come prepared with it, and to drop it in the basket. I'm asking you this week to give special consideration to the gospel message of today. Jesus telling each of us, I am the gate. If you want to be more like me, then be kind and compassionate and caring about your brothers and sisters who are in need. So that when it becomes your time to meet God face to face, and he says to you, did you? You'll be able to say, yes, I did. Guaranteed, Jesus will have a very broad smile on his face and say, come on in.